Okay, we're back. Solved the dog barking problem. And so hopefully you enjoyed the ultrasound video and it explained to you how it's done and why it's done and stuff like that. Um, let's move on to brain development during the fetal period. By about 25 weeks after conception, the fetus can recognize sounds. And you might be thinking, how in the world do you know that? Well, for one thing, we have babies who are born prior to 25 weeks, and so they're outside of the womb and they can be tested like that. But even more creatively, you can test a fetus in the womb by playing different kinds of sounds and using ultrasound and external palpations, even, just feeling the fetus. And get the indication that they can recognize a startling sound from a soothing sound. It's not sounds like they can recognize, the words of Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat. Like they can't do that. But, you can tell by their reaction that they can hear something that might be startling or they can hear something that might be soothing. And so that's the beginning of being able to show that these ears that got wired up much earlier in pregnancy are now actually wired to the part of the brain, the auditory cortex, that would then allow them to make sense of the things that are coming in from their ears. It's the beginning of it. So when we realize that babies can hear things, it immediately makes people think, oh, well, maybe we can teach them things while they're in the womb. And I've seen advertisements for prenatal training things where mom is supposed to put headphones on her swollen belly, her baby bump, and play different kinds of sounds directly to the fetus. And that's going to teach them, for example, I saw one that was going to teach them a second language, which I thought was hilarious because they don't know a first language yet. So it seemed like a really strange premise that we're going to teach them their second language prior to them learning their first language. Okay. I'm going to tell you that you can tell from my laughter as a bilingual expert, I'm going to say no. My PhD, I have a PhD in cognitive psychology with a minor in psycholinguistics. And I'm going to say, no, you are not going to teach your child a language while they're in the womb. If they were going to learn a language while they were in the womb, they would pick up the language that their mother is speaking so consistently for the 9 months that they're in the womb. So when that doesn't happen, we're going to have to say playing something over an audio tape for, an hour a day is not going to do anything. So I'm going to say no. I've seen advertisements where they're going to teach your child concepts. So you turn on the vacuum cleaner and you yell at your abdomen, noise. And then you turn off the vacuum cleaner and you say, not noise, which, by the way, you saying something is indeed noise. So again, I'm going to laugh at that one and say that's not going to do anything. Can you teach your baby something specific while they're still in the womb? No. Second off, should you teach your baby something while they're in the womb? And I'm going to say no. Based on the fact that they spend 9 months in the relative quiet and the relative, the virtually complete darkness of the womb, there's probably a function to that. There's probably a reason for that to be happening. And so to interfere with it in an effort to make your baby, presumably, I don't know, smarter or whatever the goal is, it doesn't seem worth it, and it possibly could be harmful. I mean, they're supposed to be in the dark and quiet. So I would say leave them alone. It's perfectly fine for a parent to go through a ritual where, for example, every night before they go to sleep, they read aloud the same book so that when the newborn arrives, you could read that book and the intonation helps to soothe the newborn. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. They don't know what the book is about. They hear the intonation, they hear the pattern, and it may be soothing for them. Parents who have a child already and are pregnant with the second one oftentimes notice that the books that they read to the firstborn help to soothe the secondborn, very early. And they're like, wow, they must have learned it. Well, they did. They learned the intonation. They don't know the plot. They don't know what's going on in the story, but they heard the intonation. So yeah, that's worthwhile. But babies are designed to actually hear spoken language from outside. And so that implies to me that it's not harmful to speak to them from the normal outside. I would not put speakers on my baby bump. So here's, if you wanted to watch this TED Talk, I've given you guys a lot of different TED Talks to watch during this class. If you want to, you can watch this TED Talk on what babies learn before they're born. And this will help to illustrate the kinds of things that they actually pick up during prenatal exposure. So I'll go ahead and stop here in case you want to flow right into that TED Talk. If not, then you can skip it and come to the next video.